Savage Lovecast.
I was deeply saddened to learn, first thing in the morning, before I could even get out of bed, that the middle-aged wives of prominent evangelical Christian leaders have better game than I do. I have been to swimming pools. I have swam in swimming pools. I have lusted in my heart after pool boys, but I am no Becky Falwell. That's assuming it was Becky and not Jerry. That would be Jerry Falwell Jr., prominent Christian leader and recently suspended president of Liberty University, who first picked up Giancarlo Granda, a then 20-year-old pool boy that the Falwells met at a pricey Miami Beach hotel back in 2012. Again, that's something I've never done. The Falwells, of course, are obscenely wealthy and prominent evangelical leaders because half of Mr. Falwell's DNA once resided in the fetid ballsack of Jerry Falwell Sr., founder of the Moral Majority, an organization that tormented gay people in the 70s and 80s, who also founded Liberty University, a conservative Christian college where students can be expelled for drinking, fornicating, thinking gay thoughts, committing actual adultery, doing witchcraft, and until very recently, opposite-sex hand-holding. Same-sex hand-holding, of course, being banned by the whole gay sex banning thing, but opposite-sex hand-holding was specifically banned until very recently. Jerry Falwell Jr. was put on indefinite suspension a few weeks ago after he posted a photo to Instagram of him doing things that would get a student expelled from Liberty University. Falwell was standing with his arm around a woman who isn't his wife, both of them with their pants open and pulled down, their crotches showing, and their shirts yanked up to their tits. They're on a yacht, and Falwell, who looked drunk in the photo, had a drink in his hand. And Falwell sure sounded drunk when he called into a Christian radio show first thing in the morning to explain away that photo after it went viral.
You know, it was weird because she's pregnant, so she couldn't get her pants up. And so I was like trying to I had on a pair of jeans that I haven't worn in a long time, so I couldn't get mine zipped either.
I think it was as much that call as that photo that got Falwell suspended, but this wasn't the first whiff of scandal that's attached itself to the first evangelical Christian leader that endorsed Trump in 2016. We've known actually about this pool boy for years. We've talked about him on the top of this show before, a long time ago. Jerry and his wife Becky met a pool boy, befriended that pool boy, flew that pool boy around on their private jet, invited that pool boy to stay in their home, and then helped that pool boy purchase a hostel for young people who visit Miami Beach specifically to fornicate. Over the weekend, Falwell released a statement seemingly out of the blue, blaming all of his recent bad actions on Becky. He was out of control because Becky had an affair, and instead of seeking Christian counseling, the Falwells tried to deal with it privately, and this person Becky had an affair with had attempted to extort them, and the pressure of this led Falwell to pull his pants down and take a picture and post it to Instagram. All of Falwell's various lapses in judgment, which included routinely sharing photos of his wife in lingerie with other men at Liberty University, stemmed from that affair. It's all Becky's fault, not Jerry's. Jerry's the victim here. Won't somebody please think of Jerry? On Monday morning, we found out why Falwell released that statement so seemingly out of the blue. He was, as many people speculated on Twitter, trying to get in front of a damaging story. A story that confirmed what we'd already assumed about the pool boy. In a claim likely to intensify the controversy surrounding one of the most influential figures in the American Christian conservative movement, a business partner of Jerry Falwell Jr. has come forward to say he had a years-long sexual relationship involving Falwell's wife and the evangelical leader, Reuters reported. Giancarlo Granda says he was 20 when he met Jerry and Becky Falwell while working as a pool attendant. Starting that month and continuing until 2018, Granda told Reuters that the relationship involved him having sex with Becky Falwell while Jerry Falwell looked on. And the pool boy, he has the receipts. Photos, text messages, screen grabs, DMs, all of which he shared with Reuters. While to some, it looked ungentlemanly the way Falwell threw his wife under the bus, I imagine she's fine with it. Becky Falwell, who serves on the advisory board with Women for Trump, seems to enjoy the money and perks and power of her husband's position just as much as he does, and no doubt wants him to get his old job back. Becky likes yachts seemingly just as much as Jerry likes watching other men fuck his spouse. He liked to watch from the corner of the room, Granda told Reuters. You know what? That I've done. Watch someone else fuck my spouse. I mean, not watch someone else fuck Jerry Falwell's spouse. Two things interest me here, two things beyond the hypocrisy or besides the hypocrisy. First, why would Falwell take the risks he's clearly taken over the years? This news about Granda comes as no surprise to anyone who's been paying attention to the stuff Falwell's been putting out there on social media forever. Anyone familiar with the kinks of hot wifing or cuckolding long ago would have concluded that Jerry's a cuck. But considering his position, you would expect Falwell to be the most cautious and careful cuckold who ever got cuckolded, who ever watched a hotter younger man fuck his wife. But Falwell was not cautious. He was reckless. Why? Well, duh, risk is sexy, obviously. Risk gets the adrenaline flowing. People have sex outside in parks for the same reason Bill Clinton got those blowjobs inside the Oval Office, because the risk of getting caught is a turn-on. But I think there's something else here, something that, as much as it pains me to say, humanizes this toxic, racist, hateful piece of shit just a bit. Jerry Falwell Jr. wanted to be seen as a sexual person, as a desirable person, as a sexually successful person, despite his parentage, despite the position he inherited, despite the gilded, shitty cage he refused to fly. We all pay lip service to keeping our private lives private, but at the same time, because we are each of us a mass of contradictions, we do want to be seen, all of us. We want people to know who we are sexually. For some people, it's enough to be known by one other person, by your sex partner. Others have a few friends they confide in about their weekends, and others still have OnlyFans accounts where they put their weekends out there. But lots of people today drop hints all over social media and hope that their followers, maybe not all of them, but some of them, connect the dots so they can be known. But if you're dropping hints on social media about the boys you pick up poolside with your wife and you're the leader of a conservative Christian university, yeah, your life could be upended if too many people connect too many of those dots. Some people want the risk, they want to walk that razor's edge, but they really don't want to get caught. But some people do, and I can't help but wonder if this wasn't Falwell's desire to get caught. If this wasn't Falwell slamming his hand down on the self-destruct button, on the eject button, engineering his exit from Liberty University and finally freeing himself from his father's legacy. Or maybe it's simpler than that and hornier than that. For lots of cuckolds, being publicly exposed is the ultimate fantasy. So this, what's happening right now, the news stories we are reading right now may not be what Falwell feared, but what Falwell wanted. Which means it's entirely possible, as awful as it is to contemplate, that Jerry Falwell Jr. has had an erection that's lasted longer than 4 hours and needs to see his physician. Even more distracting, even more awful to contemplate. Knowing we know, and knowing we're all out here talking about it, may be what made Jerry so hard and keeps Jerry so hard. So we're all pool boys now.